16 years ago to the day, South Africa hosted the 2010 World Cup. That tournament kicked off with an unforgettable, spectacular opening goal for the home side, before Mexico eventually fought back to force a 1-1 draw. Fast forward to June 11, 2026, and we are looking at an incredibly rare historical anomaly. The exact same opening matchup is happening again, but the roles are perfectly reversed. This time, Mexico is the host, and South Africa is the visitor. Kicking off a World Cup on home soil carries a unique kind of gravity. Millions of expectant fans demand a fast, dominant start, which can paralyze a squad under the weight of their own nation's expectations. This opening match becomes a fascinating test of historical symmetry. Mexico has the chance to rewrite the script from 16 years ago, while South Africa enters with a blueprint to inflict the exact same opening day frustration they once endured. The venue for this collision is the legendary Estadio Azteca. It will become the first stadium in history to host a third World Cup, having already served as the stage for Pelé's triumph in 1970 and Diego Maradona's iconic run in 1986. Looking at this chart detailing Mexico's historical momentum, the home side boasts a 7-match unbeaten streak in World Cup openers. Even more intimidating for the visitors, El Tri has 0 losses in World Cup play inside this specific building. That flawless record creates a double-edged sword for the Mexican manager, Javier Aguirre. The passionate home crowd expects total control and early goals, a dynamic that can easily twist a statistical advantage into suffocating anxiety on the pitch. That is exactly where South Africa's profile as a disciplined, low-scoring underdog becomes dangerous. Their entire setup is engineered to frustrate, absorb pressure, and turn the restless energy of the Azteca crowd against the Mexican players. To break down that resistance, Aguirre relies on a 4-3-3 formation designed to dismantle organized defensive blocks. The core of this strategy relies on extreme width. Mexico will use wingers like Roberto Alvarado and Alexis Vega to stretch the South African backline, pulling them all the way out to the touchlines to artificially create gaps in the middle of the pitch. Those gaps are created specifically for veteran Raul Jimenez. As the central target man, he operates in the pockets of space opened up by that wide play, tasked with converting crosses and cutbacks into goals. If the open play stalls, Mexico turns to a secondary siege tactic, set pieces. Center-back Cesar Montes is a massive aerial threat who scored 3 separate corner kick goals during the 2025 Gold Cup. This entire attacking philosophy requires absolute precision. Mexico has to successfully pull the opposition apart and feed their central threats early, because a stalled attack will only agitate the home crowd. On the other side, Hugo Broos has built his South African squad to weather exactly this type of storm. Despite a few recent wobbles, they secured their World Cup spot by topping their African qualifying group with a stingy, cohesive defensive unit. This chart highlights the critical battle in the midfield engine room. We are looking at the metrics for Mexico's primary orchestrator, Edson Alvarez, stacked up against South Africa's deep-lying controller, Teboho Mokoena. Whichever player dictates the passing tempo will control the match's momentum. If South Africa disrupts Alvarez and wins the ball, they trigger their counterpunch. As Mexico's fullbacks push aggressively high, they leave massive pockets of vulnerable space behind them. Winger Oswin Apollos is their designated exploiter for those open areas. He is quick, direct, and incredibly effective, having registered 6 goal involvements during the qualifiers. The collision point is clear. The demand for a show forces Mexico to risk overextending their formation, while South Africa's entire game plan is built to absorb that initial wave and strike decisively on the exposed flanks. Even with South Africa's defensive posture, history suggests we will see the ball cross the line. Bafana Bafana has played 9 matches in World Cup history, and incredibly, not a single one has ever ended in a goalless draw. Looking at this probability chart generated by the Opta supercomputer, the data heavily favors the hosts. Mexico holds a massive 66.3% probability of securing the win over South Africa or a draw, yet the betting markets heavily favor a final result with under 2.5 goals. That data points to a match that will not be an open shootout, but rather a grueling, low-scoring siege where every single possession carries immense weight. Ultimately, the tactical theories and supercomputer simulations return to the stands of the Azteca, where math meets the raw emotion of the host nation's supporters. If Mexico's wide players successfully stretch that defensive block and deliver clean service to Jimenez, they will ignite a month-long national party. But if Mokoena controls the midfield and the low block holds firm, South Africa has the speed to spring their trap on the counterattack. It leaves us with a high-stakes crucible to open the tournament. Mexico has the opportunity to leverage their legendary fortress to set the tone, and South Africa arrives with the exact tools needed to play the ultimate historical spoiler.